Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show.
Vancouver.
Welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, I'm always on the fringes looking for people doing cutting edge things, cutting edge ideas, trying to get those distinctions, insights, and sharing them with you so you can apply them. So today I have a very interesting guest, Sebastian Kovacs from Vancouver, and he's actually a graffiti artist turned entrepreneur. And talking to him backstage, you get a really interesting sense of how to get your freedom, his ideas. You can apply it to business, entrepreneurship, medicine, all sorts of fields. So I'm happy to welcome Sebastian. Welcome.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you for having me. And yeah, it's some people might be surprised to hear me as a graffiti artist having applicable knowledge for people in the field of medicine, but it's absolutely true because in my passion path as a graffiti artist, which I did for over a decade, I got told many times that this wasn't going to go anywhere. You're in this illegal world, like it's not going to go anywhere. Like you got to find something to do. And I always knew that I was going to be rich and successful. Like that was a mandatory for me, but I was always inclined towards the arts. So I had to find a way to make it work. And I definitely found a couple of clues, a couple of keys that are now applicable for many, many people, which is what I teach as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, I'm always interested in the 1%, and 1% usually they didn't get successful through the traditional system, which works for about 90 to 95%, but people are becoming more disenfranchised with the systems. One thing, so you were talking to me backstage, which was really interesting, is talking about creating your freedom. So tell us your thesis, and we'll riff off of that.
Freedom, and in the sense that most people are looking for, they want time and location freedom, right? They want to travel where they want to go. They want to make their schedule. They want to wake up when they want to wake up. They want to have a say over their life, right? They want autonomy. And most people don't have this because they've grown up in a system that tells them what they're worth, when they need to be somewhere, what their job description is, and they only play by those rules. And there's a massive problem here because when you get a job description, it is more the baseline. It's not the cap, right? So people will go into a job thinking that the job description is all that they're there for, but that's not the way that this game works. We are here to play at a high level, and it is only those that really step into the, let's say, the requirement, like the desire, even as an individual, to perform at the highest level, that they'll go above and beyond. And what happens very quickly is that if you become an individual who thinks and operates like this, you realize a job description is not for you. You become the decision maker, right? You tell people what you're here to do, how you're going to do it, and what it costs. But of course, it takes some time. You need to, work your way into the market and understand certain, rules of engagement, you might say. But yeah, like there's a couple areas of freedom that I think have to be addressed in order for an individual to have true freedom, which would be physical freedom, which we'll say is like moving around, like location, health and well-being, the ability to play in this physical game. Then there's mental freedom, where you are able to think and believe the way that you want to believe, where a lot of people are really constrained in this area, especially now, also with like traditional backgrounds or cultural backgrounds, or like, I grew up from a family that had, and like an immigrant family that had certain cultural beliefs and social beliefs that were conflicting with like wealth building and stuff like this. And so mental freedom is also a massive thing. And I know a lot of people who struggle with this as well. And then there's spiritual freedom, where I believe that a lot of people are disconnected from their spiritual purpose, like their actual alignment to why they're here. And they're pursuing paths that are obligations versus inspiration. And it becomes very challenging to live a fulfilling life as a decision maker with freedom and control over the game if you're not aligned with that path. Because as a human being with a spiritual calling, like we have a reason that we are here and we're naturally gravitating towards it, or that calling will live within us. And we know when we're ignoring it. We know that when we're living out of alignment with that, we have this burdensome life, this messed up experience. When we live in congruence with it, like everything in our life becomes better, and we actually want challenge. We want to perform. And so when we have those three things out of whack and we don't have the mental, spiritual, and physical freedoms, we experience life on a very like dull, in a dull state. But when you take care of those things and you address them through, like going to the gym, taking care of your health, like practicing health and well-being, asking yourself who you are, what you want to do, what do you believe really, and then in the mental space, doing away with fear, creating systems and, getting around people that help you eliminate the fear of standing out and being free thinking, and then understanding what your purpose here is and aligning your everyday life to fulfilling that in every single way. That's how you really create freedom. But the number one thing people are going to say is like, but I need cash, right? I need a way to pay for this. So we talk about all that stuff, and it's nice and good, and there's very practical ways to go about that. But you also need to get paid. We live in an economic world, so there's financial freedom, right? And the fastest way to become financially free is you need to de-link your time from your earning. You have to sell results. That's like the ultimate first step, I believe. You need to sell results, not time, because once you do that, your income can scale infinitely. And then you invest in your mental, physical, and spiritual freedoms from there.
That's kind of the core thesis I've tried to, talk to my audience about is just freedom. And a lot of people still don't understand this, because it's, the society and, culture and everything. So one thing is how to live, congruently without compromise. So, you're a artist, we have musicians, athletes, they don't fit into this traditional mold. So tell us, expand more.
Right. All right. So check it. Every human being has a calling. We have a natural gift or inclination, a world or a field that we're interested in pursuing, right? Like whether that's in knowledge, like you want to study something, or whether for me that was arts or dancing, singing, whatever that field of interest is for the individual. And you can go back to your childhood. That's usually where your inclinations will emerge at first. But many people, most people very early on are told, you can't get paid for that. You got to go get a job, right? So there's this fragmentation that happens where the individual had this calling, this natural desire that probably still lives with them. They may have changed it. They may have developed new interests, whatever. But they had this calling, but then they had to take something on for cash because we have to play the game. And this is normal. We go through a normal sort of journey and an ascension where okay, you get the job and you kind of mature and you learn how to handle life as an adult. But that will only get you so far if it's not aligned, or in a mental perspective, it's not aligned with your calling, because you're always going to be dragging your feet. It's going to feel burdensome. It's going to feel like an obligation. So naturally, you're not going to become excellent at that. In order to live uncompromised, you have to align every single day with that higher calling. You have to give yourself first permission to live that life. And then you have to follow a process of removing yourself from anything and everything that now conflicts with that higher ideal. And so what I've taught my students and what I teach all of my clients now is that if you're in a job currently that doesn't necessarily match up with the life that you want to live, first and foremost, you have to understand that it's allowing you, and it has allowed you to get to where you are currently, and it's funding your ability now to look elsewhere. And if you have that other area, that talent, that area of inclination, you have to mentally decide that you're going to live uncompromised. You're going to live to fulfill your purpose, and you need to use that job to fund your ability to develop your craft. And when you do this, you're not going to decrease your investment into the job, and then slowly increase your investment into developing your craft and spending more and more time there. And you're no longer going to promote. I mean, some people have a business around it, so it kind of, results may vary in this regard, but you're going to stop talking about what you do for your work if it's not what you want to do, or what you're doing on a daily basis that doesn't align with it. And you're only going to tell people about what you are actually here to do. You're going to start building your reputation around that thing. You're going to start talking about that thing. You're going to start promoting that thing. And my favorite way to promote it is through a personal brand or through social media, which is how you reach the greatest amount of people around the world. It's basically how we connected, right? And so when you start making declarations about who you are and you start training the world on how to deal with you and how to think about you and what it is that you are about truly, they will now start opening doors for you in that area. They're now going to trust you in that area. They're now going to want you to perform in that area. And the world is now going to shape itself to facilitate that experience for you, to facilitate that world. But yes, you're going to need cash as well. And so the job takes care of your survivability right now, but then your talent area becomes what you're reputable for. But here's what I teach everybody. Because you have the ability to take care of your survival, you don't need to take your craft and then subordinate it to the bottom level. You can go all the way to the top. So you dedicate all of your time playing at the highest level. If it's truly something that's important to you, you are going to want to be the best. So you invest all of your energy into being the best in that field. And if you are not willing to do that, it's a good chance of what you're investing your time into, it just really isn't that thing. And the reality is that thing doesn't have to be something practical, like, or obvious, like art or like singing or music or like whatever, any of these things. It could just be being a parent, right? Like it could just be being the greatest parent to your children, right? And if that's really what you want to do, you need to make sure that your time investment is in being the best at that. And then if you have a partner, like you just work out an arrangement with them. It's like, look, I want to do this. I just want to do this the best. And it's like, whatever I can do to make sure that you can go do what you want to do best. You create a dynamic and then you work together to find a unique way or an interesting way that facilitates your ability to get paid to do what you love. And one of my favorite quotes or statements that has helped me tremendously in growing my life is, how do I get paid to take my next steps in life and business? And you sit with this question to really think about it, and you'll find creative ways. Now, again, one of my favorite ways to get paid and to make money in alignment with your purpose, your calling, and your character is through personal branding. And there's a couple elements that allow you to do this, which is that when you show up every single day as yourself authentically, and you show people what it takes to be the person that you are developing and you are becoming by pursuing your area of genius, your area of expertise, your area of inclination or talent to the fullest, you are going to uncover lessons. You're going to run into obstacles that you need to solve that you can share with people. You're going to know interesting tips and tricks, like if it's parenting, like how to take care of your kids, or if like you're in the physician space, like how to serve your clients at the highest level, how to make sure that your clients always go home happy, like how to like know if your client needs X or Y. You know what I mean? These kind of things. And it's like how to manage an office, how to scale your office, how to do all these things. Like it doesn't matter what field you're in, you are going to go through a process of development that other people need and want to hear about. And so I actually don't know how the physician business works in terms of earnings, like if it's by the hour or by results or whatever. So I don't know how much control you have there. However, if you're constrained within the business model, all you have to do is share your journey. If it's really something you want to do, you share your journey to the public through your socials and through your conversations with the people in the public. And now what you can do while you have that job or business earning you stuff, you will eventually build a reputation. You will eventually build a brand. You will now eventually become a source for other people to ask for advice, and you sell information. So now you become a coach. And that is where you control your income. You charge results. You'll sell people information, which is the highest leverage value exchange. If you can teach someone how to fish, they will eat for a lifetime, right? And people are willing to pay for this. $500,000 an hour, $5,000 an hour, $10,000 an hour. Like you can charge for this stuff as long as you do a good job and you really solve a problem for someone. And what's going to happen is now you are now getting paid to share your story and to develop in that area of inclination that you have. And very soon what happens, and in my experience with my clients and my students, is that when they do this correctly and they really dedicate themselves to the process of developing in an area of expertise and then sharing that story with the world, they now get to dissolve that job obligation that has held them down or kept them trapped in a location with time constraints. And now they get to control their schedule. They get to make money anywhere in the world as long as they have a cell phone and a vision. That's what I teach them. That's all you need. And an internet connection, right? You can now travel the world and then commit yourself to being the best in that area. And like, imagine being like a traveling physician. Like you can go to different practices and you can speak to them and you could teach them your principles that you've learned in developing like a successful practice. Right. And then eventually you don't even need to be in a location. You can just delegate the responsibility of operating, for example, like a practice to your clients who now have their own individual practices. And then now you basically become an operator from a coaching or consulting standpoint with multiple individual practices, but you're really just teaching other people how to operate. And then they just pay you a clip of their earnings as a consultant. And so that way immediately you've cracked that link to like, oh, now I can actually just do this anywhere in the world. And then we just do Zoom calls and you just run it up like that. And so like the process is very simple, but it takes time, right? And so if someone's really willing to commit the time to training the world and teaching the world how to think about them and how to perceive them and how to engage with them, you will be able to live a life uncompromised. Because I actually don't even believe that compromise is wise. I think that it's barbaric, because we live in a world of opportunity and we live in a world of choice. Every time that you compromise, you are seeding resentment towards the world and towards others. Like a lot of people talk about this shit like, sorry, I don't know if I can swear on here, but a lot of people talk about relationships are about compromise. I think that's crazy. That's so dumb. It's a very low level way of thinking. I believe that the best relationships and the best lives are uncompromised, and you just have creative discussions in order to find out how you can get what you want while helping other people get what they want. And in the middle there, that exchange, that is where the greatness is. That is where the inspired life lives. That is where the inspired relationship lives. We can do that. And my life is a testimony to that. I grew up painting illegal street graffiti for over a decade, coming up from a family living on welfare to now living a life that most people deem impossible, specifically for artists. My life is like unheard of for artists. Like I've worked with billion-dollar companies. I wake up and do whatever I want to do every single day. I travel the world on a regular basis. Like I've been on God knows how many airplanes just in the last 6 months already. All of my clients are multi-millionaire business owners. Like it's amazing. Like I literally do whatever I want to do, but it was because I committed myself to a life fulfilling my higher calling and doing this the right way and letting people know why I'm here, how I'm going to do it, and just showing them receipts every single day. Just show up online, in person, and just be undeniable in the field. The results that it's created is unreal.
Yeah, really, like I said, one of the really awesome interview, and it's great. And how can people contact you and follow you? I know you have a huge Instagram page, and
anything that anyone needs from me, just go to Instagram, Art Money CEO. And even my Instagram handle is designed to frame the mind to understand what it is that we're doing. Like in the art world, there's the romanticized statement of the starving artist. I'm a starving artist. I think that's so dumb to put that kind of a label or that kind of an identity on yourself. Why would you place that image on yourself as a character? And then all these people are broke and starving. Like our words create our reality. And so the handle, the name of my brand, Art Money and Art Money CEO, is the synthesis of creative fulfillment and financial success, and being an example of that as a professional here in the real world. And that's exactly what I do every single day. And so as part of my brand, and now because we've been growing and I'm now serving more people, I do coaching and consulting for people who want to master their mindset. They want to have financial freedom. They want to live life on their terms, and they want to build a brand that allows them to get paid huge doing what it is that they love and what it is that they specialize in, using only a cell phone and a vision. And so that's what we do.
Awesome. And for let's thank Sebastian for coming onto the show. And like I said, this is how you really achieve true freedom. And he's talking about building a brand and monetizing it, information, and the job is just part way to get you there. And be sure to follow him on Instagram as well. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
My pleasure, brother. Let's get it popping. I'll see you in the chat. See ya. Have a great day.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.